My kingdom has been confirmed to be in one of the biggest KvKs basically in a very long time. 1307 and 1093 will be battling it out in my KvK. It is going to be insane. If you want to hear more about this KvK and even the Warriors Unbound KvK in general, this is certainly a video you must watch. So as of right now, 2365, which is the kingdom I'm in, managed to get a spot in the newest KvK format, Warriors Unbound. We don't have any Warriors Unbound KvKs that I've ever run to my knowledge, and it's certainly going to be a fun time. We have the Pioneer Rewards, which is nice. I guess we get a bunch of gems, sovereign keys, and a bunch of equipment material choice chests. Now, we'll talk about the allies a little bit later in the video, but let's just run over what is the Warriors Unbound KvK. Now, looking at the shop, nothing's really changed. Prices on everything are the same, so they didn't add anything to the Warriors Unbound shop. And in the inscription section, all the inscriptions for the scroll and the book are the same. Nothing really changed here. I got last time the wedge formation, and this is exactly the same as it was before. Looking at the rewards, I will actually get a few extra rewards for Pioneer, up to 1,000 gems, 24 hours of speed ups, a few 100,000 experience points, 3 sovereign keys, and about 5 million resources in tokens right there. And then once I reach 10k honor, I'll get a bunch more rewards, and those are certainly nice. So this is the most interesting part of the support, I guess, response from Lilith. What are the sorts of things we'll get to see in this story? They said, in the Warriors Unbound story, you can experiment with new commander combinations, which sounds interesting. Artifacts is a new thing they added, so in this new story, each governor can claim a new type of legendary equipment called artifacts. I presume these will be basically artifact only for one KvK and then they'll disappear. Artifacts allow more freedom to experiment with multi-unit troops rather than building all your troops around a single unit type. When a commander equipped with an artifact is deployed as a troop's secondary commander, any skills that they have that only apply to a single unit type will instead apply to a different unit type depending on the artifact. For example, if a cavalry commander is deployed as a secondary commander and is equipped with an infantry artifact, any skills that they have that apply solely to cavalry units will instead apply solely to infantry units. This doesn't really make sense in my opinion because you're going to either be running 2 cav commanders together, or I guess maybe you could use like a Mehmed with, I don't know, a Nevsky and run infantry, but what's the point? You could just run Mehmed, Nevsky and use cavalry. This is beyond me. I'm not sure how this is going to work and actually be useful, but for the most part, it just seems like an okay addition. Like, I guess what you could do is put a CPO primary, and then put Nevsky and make Nevsky infantry, and then put Nevsky with CPO and run a just crazy infantry march. That's a possibility. But for someone like me who only has one type of commander, this is useless for me, so I won't really be able to experiment with it much, but I will try a little bit. Also, building restrictions. So in this new story, Alliance fortresses can only be built in areas bordering a holy site or pass. You do not need to capture the holy site or the pass. So it seems that I can build an Alliance fortress on a pass, so I can't build like you used to, where you used to build one fortress space up, and then your opponents would have to flag up one spot to burn your fortress. It just means now that they're going to be able to burn the fortress with 1 troops, and it's going to be fairly annoying in that situation. Now, we may also be seeing that you can place your Alliance fortress 1 stud away from the pass, which means they can't actually just burn it with 1 troop. But for now, it does seem like they will just be burning it with 1 troop. You do not need to capture the holy site / pass. I think that means you can place next to it without capturing it. So I think that's a little bit interesting. I'm not sure how that's going to work. It does mean people won't be able to just stack Alliance fortresses in front of a pass so they never lose. And it does mean that people won't just stack Alliance fortresses and back build with Alliance fortresses constantly. Hopefully we see still some flag building, which I think is always fun. I like seeing flags, because I mean otherwise what's the point of having a garrison if you're not doing some flag battles? What is the schedule of the story? In the Warriors Unbound story, governors from different camps will first encounter each other on day 10. On day 21, governors will enter a new combat zone to fight governors from other camps. On day 34, the conflict will spread to the rest of the map, and then the final decisive battle for Kingsland will begin on day 39. So day 10 means that our KvK will start about 16 days from now where we actually start battling. Good thing I'll be done with exams. Day 21 is a week after that. Day 34 is like a while after that, so it's basically a 2-week down period right there. And then day 39 is another 5-day down period before you go to Kingsland. Suggestions I don't care about, and will I receive special rewards? Yes, we already discussed the special rewards right here. So looking at the Warriors Unbound KvK, this is what the artifacts seem to look like. Artifacts will only work in the Lost Kingdom, so basically battling other players, Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon. You can't use artifacts in like your home kingdom, and you can't use them in events that come around, like for example, Ceroli Assault, whatever. You can't use artifacts in those. You can only claim 1 artifact per season, which I presumed wouldn't have been the case. I thought you'd maybe get like 2 or 3, but I guess it's only 1. And it will be lost at the end of the season. That's what I predict. As to how you get this artifact, we don't know yet. Artifacts, obviously, this is what they look like. We discussed what they are. I'm not sure which artifact applies to which troop, but they look fairly cool. Building restrictions. So yeah, you have to touch the pass. You can see here their Alliance fortresses are touching the pass and are touching the holy site. So this means people will be able to one-troop burn alliance forts, which is really, really frustrating. Then again, you could just put flags in front of the pass with a 1-stud gap between it, so they can't really burn those, but you kind of do want to lock them in with fortresses because it does take longer. Bastions are nothing new. It doesn't look like you'll be getting the skills from the bastions since it says favor will only increase your crystal mine work speed, though it may end up increasing your skills or giving you new bastion skills, but I doubt it since they have the new relic system. Alliance entry permanents. In this story, governors can join alliances belonging to any kingdom that is in the same locked kingdom starting provenance. So that means in WinCamp, I could join basically any alliance in WinCamp. I could join 1890's main alliance, 2425's main alliance, or someone could join 2365 main alliance. That doesn't sound too crazy, but when you think of it like this, if I'm in a KvK battling and I want to pull onto 1890 territory, so let's say fight 1696 in some world, then I can join 1890's main alliance, put on their territory without the risk of being zeroed, and actually fight them, which would be very interesting. And it means I have more diversity where I get to fight, and everyone gets to fight basically with everyone and get to know people a little bit better. So I really like that, since I like the social aspect of Rise of Kingdoms, and I think that being able to fight with other people you've never met before and talk with other people is very interesting. Also, after Immigration and Lost Kingdom opens, you can apply to migrate to any kingdom within the same Lost Kingdom. Doing so costs fewer passport pages than regular immigration. That's very interesting. The immigration system will be displayed on the main season page 7 days before it opens. As to how many passports less, it could be half, it could be a third, I'm not sure. Depending on how much less it is, I may migrate. I'm joking, I probably won't. But like having that option is very good for players who either really, really like another kingdom and want to just get out of the kingdom they're in, or they just meet other people and they get to talk with them and they get a liking to go to that kingdom. It may be interesting with 1307 and 1093. I'm not sure how many people will just go straight from our KvK there, because that would be a very, very unique way to see these two Imperium kingdoms interacting, possibly battling to get more players in their kingdoms. That would be very unique. Special content, crystal mines and working mines. Yep, pay to win. I'm not going to say anything about that. Crystals will be recycled. Building occupation points are the same in Orotark Testimonies. Nothing new there. Coalition systems are the same. Reward sharing, yeah, that's normal. After the season ends, coalitions, yeah, that's fine. Reward system, conquest coins, star champions. So yeah, these all look the same as well. And then the camp systems, we've already seen all the camps. So in terms of the allies, we're going to be looking at a very interesting KvK in my opinion. We know as a fact that 1307 in the fire camp and 1093 in the daybreak camp, which is like a light camp, will be fighting each other. That's guaranteed. So the two biggest Imperiums will be fighting and there's no way around that. They confirm that they will not be allying in any way. They just want to fight and have a fun KvK, which I think is fairly understandable. That leaves us plebeian A-seed kingdoms to decide which kingdoms we're going to go with. Mainly, we're going to go with whichever kingdoms 1093 and 1307 recommend. But here's what I think would probably happen. I think that us in Wind Camp are at a disadvantage because we are kind of like in a corner in the middle of nowhere. And the same thing to Water Camp. They are in a corner in the middle of nowhere. What I predict will happen is it will be us in Wind Camp versus Water Camp at some point and we will fight. Then us versus Water Camp, we will have to again fight for this zone unless we are allied. So there are a few ways this could go. It could go Fire Camp versus Daybreak Camp, which is just 1307 versus 1093. And then us in Wind Camp, we ally with Earth Camp and we ally with Daybreak Camp, so 1093. That's one route we could go, but the issue with that is that Earth Camp has basically got no access to Kingsland because I doubt they will beat 1307 in a 1v1 battle. Unless there are passes in this zone right here where my cursor is, this far right zone, 1307 would be kind of screwed for Kingsland, and it's probably not the best option. That means that Greenwood Camp would have to ally with Fire Camp, and they would also ally with Water Camp, and the same issue would be prevalent where they probably would not get Kingsland access. That means that two kingdoms would miss out on Kingsland access, and it would probably be basically these two kingdoms, these two Imperiums would get in, and then one of these two kingdoms on the side would get in, and that's not too fun of a KvK. The other option is the top 3 kingdoms and the bottom 3 kingdoms ally, and that means my kingdom, which is Wind Camp, Earth Camp, and Fire Camp ally, and then Daybreak Camp, Greenwood Camp, and Water Camp ally. That means that guaranteed Daybreak and Greenwood get into this zone right here, and guaranteed Fire Camp and Earth Camp get into this zone right here. Then that would leave us in Wind Camp and Water Camp to battle it out to see who wins the zone, and it would leave a very interesting end battle where 1093 could push into this zone right here and fight whichever kingdom has it. And the same can be said for 1307. So it would probably end up with another major battle right in this zone where my cursor is, and that's what I predict would happen. They could also just ignore that zone and end up battling right here, just right into each other's zones, or they may end up meeting in here, depending on which kingdom gets it. Because what I predict will happen is, let's say the second option is true, and top 3 camps and bottom 3 camps ally. In this situation, whichever camp gets the zone to the right is the winner, because they will be able to get their allies in, and then it's going to be a 3v2 KvK, and that's very, very tough. So if we end up allying with 1307 and we end up winning this zone and holding this zone from 1093 and the green camp or Girwood camp, whatever you want to call it, we will win the KvK. That's my prediction. But let's say Water Camp gets it and they hold, then 1093 and Water Camp and Nature Camp, I'm just going to call them Nature Camp, would win. They would hold this zone and they would take it from us and they would win. Then you have the option of us in Wind Camp and people in Water Camp allying and going with 1093. So Earth Camp gets access with Fire Camp, just access to this zone straight up. But then the Girwood Camp is kind of just left to sit there because I don't think they could beat 1093 in a battle for this zone. So that's kind of a problem. They would be surrounded on both sides and they'd either have to win this side and then somehow win in this area here, or they would have to possibly ally with 1093 and then maybe these two camps go up with Fire Camp, but then the same issue happens to Earth Camp. It's a very complicated KvK. And I'm thinking that the bottom three and the top three and bottom three camps allying is probably the best route, or the bottom three and top three camps allying. You know, I think that's the best route to go. And really, it's going to come down to whoever can control this zone to the right will probably end up winning the KvK, because that's going to allow you to get your allies in, and then if you get your allies in Kingsland, a whole 3 kingdoms makes a major difference in a Kingsland battle. I can assure you, it's very nice to have 1 extra player, let alone 300 extra players. So having that is definitely going to be powerful for the top kingdoms, and hopefully we win this KvK. I just want to say though that I really do enjoy making these videos, and I will be streaming the KvK as much as I can. It will be happening just after I finish all my exams, and I won't have many assessments going. So I'll be able to bludge and just do, you know, some live streams with you guys. I'll be able to fight in the KvK. The Pass 4 opens probably on a weekend or like a Friday night, something like that. That'd be really good for me. And I know you guys really do want to see this KvK live. So if the spectators are full, you can always join my stream. And the best way I recommend to do that is to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because I'm going for 1,000 subscribers by June when I start my Siege restart. Now, I do thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.